Chairman, distinguished guests, elected officials, and candidates. Welcome to our meet and greet tonight. It is a pleasure to have you all here, extending warm greeting to each other in the spirit of securing democracy as the power of the people. Let us never forget that government is ourselves, not an alien power over us. The ultimate rulers of our democracy are not the president, senators, and congressmen, and government officials, but the voters of this country, said former President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I would like to add that the essence of democracy rests in the promise of equality, fraternity, and liberty to pursue one's own endeavors. The holders of such system of government remain the people who should oblige our government, such as governor, statewide, countywide, and municipal officials, to live up to such ideal where the least fortunate citizens are looked after, accounted for, and provided for. That reminds me of another FDR statement. The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much. It is whether we provide enough for those who have very little. The Haitian community, just like any other ethnic and minority group, is here to be part of the fabric of the state, the mosaic landscape of this great nation, and its exceptional people. We would not be ignored, neglected, nor undermined in this effort. We are here to stay. We need a governor who will find innovative ways to solving the problem of our state and get our government to work considering the need of the whole citizenry. To that end, we are to meet the Tallahassee Mayor, Andrew Gillum, as a gubernatorial candidate of Florida. We are here to get to know him, to hear his vision to move the state forward, and his plan to administer an inclusive government that takes everyone's needs into consideration. We expect to have a very candid, enlightening conversation that permits all of us to come out with a better knowledge and a deeper understanding of our candidates. Again, I extend my joyful welcome greetings to you at the Star House, this beautiful city of Pembroke Pines, and the sunny South Florida. Welcome everyone, and may God bless you, and thank you.
And now we are going to hear from Dr. Jean-Philippe Bostel, who is a very good friend of Mayor Gillum. So Jean-Philippe, welcome.
Hi, thank you very much. Good evening.
Good evening.
The governor called me a little bit over a year ago for dinner. The governor, the mayor, the future governor.
It's okay. It's okay.
And after a long dinner, I told him that why not Andrew Gillum as governor of the state of Florida? There hasn't been anybody who looks like him who's been governor. There hasn't been anybody with this passion for people like us to be governor of the state. And that why should they have all the fun? And he loved that line, and I think it's true. Why shouldn't they do have all the fun? But this is an incredible human being who has our values. And the thing is that if we, and I guess I should take a step back. I want to thank the organizing committee for inviting me here tonight. I know most of them were friends, so probably that's why they allowed me to come and do this. But I go back to 2008. Then Senator Barack Obama won the state by 72,000 votes. And I was having a discussion with Suriyet a little bit half an hour ago about what that number is of Haitian American voters in South Florida. We don't know the number, most people think is somewhere between 100,000 to maybe 300,000. And if that's true, and that was probably 8 to 10 years ago. I don't know what that number is precisely is today. But I think it's a number that's relevant. And it's relevant to this election coming up next year. If we do our job, if we get our people to understand the issues, if we get our people to register to vote, if we get our people out to vote, then Andrew Gillum could be the next governor of the state of Florida. But I guess that's my message. If there is a message for tonight, that please do the work that I know you can do. Let's get our people engaged and involved, because we could be the difference makers in the governor's race next year, in the presidential 2 years hence. It's a huge number. But we have to get people registered to vote. We have to tell them what the issues are. And I always go back to the woman making beds at the hotel at the Marriott. Unless you convince her it makes a difference to her and her kids and her grandchildren, she's not going to go out to vote. But it makes a difference. These politicians decide, they set a budget, they decide who gets the money. Are they going to build a park? Are they going to build another jail? Are they going to give contracts to private companies for prisons? Are they going to increase the minimum wage? What's the minimum wage here? $8.50? $8.25? Some states it's $13 an hour. Imagine if you're at 30, from $8.25 to $13, what's that percentage? I don't know. 50% increase in your money every week to help pay your bills. Politicians make these decisions. But I guess I'm speaking to the choir, right? You guys know this, or you wouldn't be here if you didn't. All I'm saying is that please work. It's worthwhile. It makes all the difference to just not us in this room, but out this community. That's all I really wanted to say, and that this is an incredible human being who actually has, again, our values, who wants to do good, and I think this community could help him get there next year. Thank you.
I would like to thank all of you again. I know our Actually already did that, especially to Mayor Gillum for accepting our invitation. Thank you all of you. It's a Wednesday evening. The weather is bad. We expected more people, but what counts is all of you that are here. Thank you so much for being here. We have here an incredible person, a man at a very early age who decided to become a public servant. 23 years old. He's elected commissioner, city of Tallahassee, and re-elected subsequently for 10 more years. And here he is today, the mayor of Tallahassee. And before that, Mayor Gillum was a field organizer with the people of the American Way, and he conducted a very successful, the most successful campaign with A Wife with Five. And all of you Democrats remember A Wife with Five. I did work tremendously, and Janet there, I'm sure you did, and Linda typing. So Mayor Gillum initiated as a mayor several, and he championed many projects that have not only benefited the people of Tallahassee, but some other municipalities nationwide have adopted his initiatives. Initiatives such as the Digital Harmony Project, which brought 200 computers to 6th and 7th graders, the Tallahassee Teen Center, the Palmer Monroe Center, which is a restorative justice that is a safe haven for troubled teens, the Cascade Park, that's outstanding, to have a water park and then to combine it, make it work double into a stormwater management system to prevent flooding in that area. I mean, how much innovative can we get? the Mayor Fellows Program, Bunderbucks, the Mayor's Summit on Children. Frederick Douglass said it's easier to build strong children than it is to repair broken men. So that's why he did that. The Family First Agenda, Operation Safe Community, which is a neighborhood watch. And in 2016, he was on the list of contenders to be the running mate for Hillary Clinton. We have here a gem, ladies and gentlemen. All of us who are here, some of us who have the Jean-Jacques Dessalines in us, the Toussaint Louverture, the Frederick Douglass, the Martin Luther Kings, and us women, the Maya Angelus, the Oprah Winfrey, the Shirley Caesar, the Sejourner Truth, all of us black women, we've been really, from the beginning, set for something great. We are a great race, black people, we know it. And this time with Andrew Gillum, I'm asking all of you that are here, who are here to do everything we can to make history again. We used to hardship, we used to working hard. If we do make the commitment tonight to help him out, nothing will stop him. Especially in my community, we've seen races where there is a lot of money, but then we took the street, we took the grassroots, and we win. They may have tripled the amount of money or 10,000 times more, but we still win. There is a room for him to win. And if we all do it, he's going to win. Let me introduce to you the next governor of state of Florida, Mr. Mayor Andrew.
Man, y'all give it up for she's a powerful sister right there. In fact, I just want to thank all of y'all for taking time. I would go up there, but it feels blinding, to be quite honest. And so, and I'm kind of a person who likes to stay as close as I can to people. That's who I've been, and that's who I am. Also thankful for my good friend, Dr. Pierre, who very, very early on, I knew him as a person who had raised money and had helped candidates. And I took a little bit of a risk, and he took a bigger one by sitting down to dinner with me. And I talked to him about my background, about my ambitions for the state of Florida. And then I told him that there is a path to victory. There's a way that we can win. And just as he said up here, he said to me that day, he said, you know what? Why should they have all the fun? And I understood at a very deep level what he was trying to communicate. That so often in our communities, you've got to be not just as good, but better. You not only got to be as talented, you got to be more than talented. And even then, you still have to prove yourself. That's the story of our community. That's the story of our lives. That's the story of many of you all who are sitting right here in this room. Every single day, you get up and re-square your shoulders to the difficult task ahead, whatever that looks like in the workplace. And you reassert yourself and reassert yourself to show that you're good enough. And there are still those who might not offer us that opportunity. And so I understand wholly what the challenge is that lies before us. I get it. Florida has never elected an African-American governor. Heck, the Democratic Party has never appointed or elected an African-American to lead the Democratic Party in this state. It hasn't been done yet, right? I get that. But the truth is why not now? Not only why not now, because I don't want to just rest on that laurel. I want you to know that there's an actual numeric pathway to get there. And that numeric pathway runs right through our communities. It runs directly through our communities. I don't want your vote and your support because I happen to share a similar level of melanin in myself. Right? I got more of it, by the way. I want your support because I believe that I'm the most prepared and the most experienced candidate. And I also believe that you shouldn't have to have a famous last name or a checkbook to stroke your own check to become governor of Florida. I believe that you can get there the old-fashioned way, right? That's what I believe. But it's not enough for me to believe it. We got to go out there and achieve that. We got to make that real. I think back to when I decided to run for the city commission in the city of Tallahassee. Some of y'all may know where Tallahassee is. Some of y'all may know the nature of my city. Florida may be one of those few places where you go north to go south, right? And my wife's from Alabama, so she's got south in spades by comparison. But I love my city. It was the city that gave me my first shot. I came born right here in Miami, right south of here. We're in Broward, but not too far south in Miami-Dade County, an area called Richmond Heights. To my mother, who was a school bus driver growing up, and my daddy, who worked construction. It would actually depend on whether or not there were any construction jobs to be worked as to whether or not he would do construction that day, or whether you might find him situated across the street from a cemetery selling fresh flowers, or on the street corner selling fruits and vegetables. My parents, my mother and father, are two of the hardest working people that I know. They did everything that they could to make a way for their 7-headed children. All boys and one girl, my baby sister, thank God for her. Because we wouldn't know when anybody's birthday was if it wasn't for my sister's text messages. I'm the first of my family to graduate from high school, and the first of my family to graduate from college. And you can't tell me that I don't know what it means to see intergenerational poverty interrupted at the hands of a good public education system. Which is why it is heartbreaking to see the Republican-led legislature and governor privatize increasingly our public education system. The public education system that still is responsible for the teaching, the training of minds of over 90% of our kids. When I ran for a city commission in Tallahassee, Florida, I was the last person to file for the seat. There were already 6 people in the race, and I made the 7th. And when I got in the race, we didn't have no money. That was not put to you properly, was it? We had no money. We raised $6,000 in the race to my foremost opponent's $49,000. And in that race, we competed, we worked hard, we went to voters, we went door to door, and we organized. And that election, without regard to the amount of money that was raised, allowed me to be the youngest person in Tallahassee's history ever elected to serve on the city commission in a seat that was roughly 70% white. And so we have an opportunity here in Florida, not just to hopefully elect a historic candidate as our nominee and ultimately as the governor of this state, but I want you to know more than what it means for that candidate, more than what it means for me. It means a lot more to the people of the state of Florida. Because, after all, this is the same state where you have the governor who says he's not a scientist and therefore can't say whether or not global warming is real. Right? This is the same state that told Barack Obama that they had to go figure out healthcare another way, and that 1.5 million of the most medically needy people would not get access to Obamacare, to healthcare. It's the same state, the same governor, who turned back $1.3 billion to the federal government because he didn't believe in Obama's stimulus. Jobs that could have been created, creating 21st century transportation in this state, we refused. Jobs that could have been created where we to have extended Medicaid to 1.5 million of the most medically needy people, pulling in $6 billion alone from the federal government last year. Nurses, nurse practitioners, home care workers, all could have gone to work. Our ignorance around dealing with climate change and environment is not only ignorant because we sit at the epicenter of impact of sea level rise on this peninsula known as the state of Florida, but it was also wrong-headed because can you imagine the number of people that could go to work making this state a more resilient state, building solar energy, solar panels, solar farms, building and creating new battery technology and innovations where we store energy, and we teach the rest of the United States and the rest of the world how a state like Florida deals with that amazing challenge. There are jobs in leading into that challenge, y'all. These are jobs that our community could desperately use. Moreover, we've had an opportunity to move this state aggressively forward into the 21st century across a whole range of issues, not the least of which is criminal justice reform. We're in this state, we have something called double jeopardy, which means you cannot be sued twice for the same crime. Cannot be prosecuted twice. Yet in the state of Florida, you can be punished perpetually for a mistake. We need to re-enfranchise that 1.7 million Floridians who have had their rights stripped from them due to Florida law. We need rights restoration in the state of Florida, and we ought to get that in 2018. I got a flight, so I don't have the opportunity to go like I want to go tonight. But I want you to know this. I believe that this is the beginning of a conversation, that this is the beginning of an opportunity for us. That we have the chance in 2018 to put this state back into the hands of working people. People who in many cases and in many ways have given up. They see a state that doesn't work for them anymore. They see a state that only seems to cater to the well-heeled and the well-connected. They need to know that they can believe in government again, because government can work for them again. There is a function to government. There is a way to do this right and a way to do this with integrity. And I look forward to being that candidate to help to do that job. Mostly, not because I don't have the most money to run, or because I have a famous last name, or because I can stroke my own check for governor, of which I can, but because working people deserve a seat at the table too. As I was told growing up, if you don't have a seat at the table, then you're likely on the menu. Well, I'm tired of being on the menu. I'm tired of our community being on the menu. It's time for us to have a seat at that table, and I believe we ought to take the biggest seat there, and that's the race for governor of the state of Florida. All right? So, I want to conclude where a story that I often tell about a campaign slogan, a campaign logo that I've sort of happened into. And it has to do with my grandmother, who used to help raise my mother and father's 7-headed kids. Before she would let us go off to school in the morning, she would have 2 rituals. One would be that she would take her bottle of olive oil and twist that bottle of olive oil and take that residue oil and build a cross on our forehead. It was her way of sending us out into the day with a blessing, with a covering that no harm would come our way. And then she said, boy, go to school. Mind your teachers, get your lesson, and bring that education home. She said, bring it home for your little brother and your little sister who don't know what it is yet. Bring it home. Bring it home for that little boy down the street that you play with. God knows where he gonna end up. Bring it home. She said, bring it home for your mama and your daddy who get up every day to go slave on somebody else's job to keep a roof over your head and clothes on your back and food on the table. Bring it home. I didn't know then what my grandmother was communicating, but I would come to learn that what she was saying is that it wasn't just about me. It wasn't even just about my family. She included the boy that she couldn't even stand in those prayers. Right? She said that we're in this thing together, and unfortunately somewhere in the stream of our politics we've forgotten how connected we are. And I believe that we deserve a governor who's willing to not destroy and divide and deride us, but bring us together. When 46% of the people in this state say that they cannot make ends meet, we have a problem. And it's not just a problem for that 47%. It's a problem for those of us who want crime obliterated in our community. It's a problem for those of us who want access to good quality health care that's affordable and accessible to us. It's a problem for our little boys and girls, my 3 little kids, who I plan to see educated through the public school systems of the, because if they don't have a job, they turn to a life of crime, drugs, addiction, right? You don't have health care, your premiums go up because they access health care in emergency rooms. You don't have a good education system, good companies don't choose to locate in states that have poor education systems, right? So we get this cycle. We're all in this thing together, y'all. And so with your help, we're going to be able to pull this thing together. The last 2 races for governor were lost in the state of Florida by fewer than 1 point. Fewer than 70,000 votes decided who the governor of the state of Florida would be. I'm willing to bet between your friends on Facebook, my friends on Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat, we know 70,000 people. Y'all believe that? I believe we know 70,000 people. And if that is the difference between who will be governor and who won't, if we get our butts out there and organize, we will win. Thank y'all for your time. I appreciate you and God bless you.
We have envelope for me, just wave your hand and I will pick it up. Have questions? Do you have time for questions?
I think as I walk to the car to catch a plane, but I want to say one thing about those envelopes. One thing is that just as all of us have the opportunity to be a voter, every one of us has the opportunity to be a donor. When I decided to run for city commission in the city of Tallahassee, my mother, who didn't have a job at the time, put herself on a $20 regular rotation every month. Just gave $20. In fact, she is still on a $20 rotation even as I run for governor of the state of Florida, right? Because she knows what it means to sow a seed in. And so my ask isn't a dollar amount, even though my staff is going to kill me if I don't ask for more dollar amounts. What I'm asking for you to do is to sow a small seed of any size. And then, like most seeds, if they're good, if you sow good into it, it grows, right? Some limbs and some leaves and maybe some fruit. So I want you to sow some seeds that will bear some good fruit. And that fruit will take us all the way to the governor's mansion, y'all. Thank you.
So that is on the website. You have the opportunity to pledge some money or to pay on a monthly basis. Janet is doing it. I think it's a good thing.
I have a question.
Please.
Mr. Mayor, could you, for those of us who are skeptical that a black man in 2018 could become governor of this historically racist state, could you tell us what you think the path is for you to be the next governor of Florida?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, I got to tell you about the primary because that's the race that I'm in. In the primary election, there are going to be about 1 million Democrats who will vote in that primary. Of that 1 million Democrats, there are 4 contenders who are competing for the office of governor on the Democratic side. All right, we got 1 million people, 4 contenders. Everybody's got to figure out their 35% of the vote. All right, is that right? 35 to 40% to keep it safe. 1 million voters. Of that 1 million, 32% of the voters are going to be black voters. 32% of those voters in this state will be black voters in the Democratic primary. 16% will be Hispanic voters. And 48% will be white voters. You can do the math, because y'all are smart people, of what it is that we need to do to get 35 to 40% of the vote to make it through the Democratic primary. Once you get through the Democratic primary, as I mentioned before, the race for governor has been lost by 1 point. That's fewer than 100,000 voters. In my opinion, this is my guess, we only know based off of what we know. The last candidate aside from Bill Nelson to win statewide in this state was Barack Obama, who won twice. By how much? 1 point. We lost the race for president in 2016 by 1 point. We're a 1% state. And the one who wins is going to be the one who has the ability to motivate 70 more thousand. It's really just one more vote. 70 more thousand voters to come out and to vote for them. And guess what? On the Democratic side, we have several million to choose from. Those are voters who didn't vote in the midterm, but voted in the presidential. So the numbers are absolutely there. And I get the point around a racist state because we still got some of that in this state. But there were enough voters to present a win for us. I went and spoke to a union, and I won't say which union it was, but in this room, practically were all white union members. This is just 2 days ago. And all of the candidates on the Democratic side had gone. And I got a call today from one of the union leaders that was in that meeting. And again, I walked in the room kind of surprised at the room. It did not look like my room. And I talked about my ambitions for the state of Florida, and we had some good dialogue and exchange. And one of the guys called today and he said, I want you to know that you had the most conservative member of my union, a Republican, walking out of there saying you were the only candidate on the Democratic side he would support. Which was crazy to me. But that's exactly what he said. And then he told me off the record that his union president, leadership council, are going to put forward a motion to endorse me in this race for governor. They want to get out in front of the other unions and endorse me in this race for governor, right? I went to the Villages, the most conservative voting precinct in the country, right here in Florida. I thought I would walk in this room and meet maybe 50, 100 people for a meet and greet, and I got in there and this room was teeming with over 500 retirees. Not another face that looked like mine. And when I finished, the leader of the group got up and he pulled out a $20 bill and said, I want to give you $20 to help you along your way in this race. I believe Gillum ought to be the next governor. And if anybody else believes me, I want you to give them $5 or $10 or $20. When they finished, y'all, they had raised over $6,000 in $5, $10, and $20 contributions. Right? And so the way we're going to win is we got to go everywhere. You can't misjudge a group. You never know what young man or woman or elderly person, white or otherwise, might be there and their kid is opioid addicted. Or they dropped out of the public school system because of high stakes testing, which don't tell us what our kids know but how well they take a test. Or they're working 2 and 3 jobs and can still barely make ends meet, are treading between which bills to pay before something goes off. Right? And so we just never know. The one who wins the race for governor is going to be the one who gets one more vote than the next person. And that's how we're going to win this race for governor, by going everywhere and not leaving anything to chance or anything on the table.
$9:30. 9:30, of course.